Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode in iCraft. It's been a while. I've been vacationing, and actually that's what I was planning on talking about this video, because I do kind of just want to do a little bit of a chat video, less than a progress video, although hopefully we'll be making some progress. If so though, it'll be while I'm talking. I'm basically just going to work on this palace and talk about the camping trip, because we went camping to the Redwood Forest in California, and it was fairly incredible. The Redwoods, though, are not exactly what I was planning on talking about right off the bat. There were some fairly huge ones, of course, and they were very impressive. Some of them were over 15 feet in diameter and alive for more than 1,500 years, and that is definitely something very neat to see. But we didn't go to the Redwoods on the first day. We went to the Redwoods sometime on the way there because we were rather far away, and on the trip there we ended up going to a smaller campsite some ways off, and this campsite was fairly nice for the most part. We have a lot of tents though. There are a lot of us, and so we needed to get a fairly big campsite. This one was adequate, and actually all of them were, so not too much problem there. But on the second day we were there, a loud rumbling ensued, and we were wondering what that was. Went poking around. The noise appeared to be coming from some other person's campsite. It was extremely loud, and it was actually someone's generator, except it wasn't a generator, it was their RV engine, and RV engines are not known for their silence, and it was blasting across the entire campsite for the entire time we were there, save for the spaces in between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. And a couple hours in the middle, but we were gone doing fun things during those areas of time. So they apparently they just decided that they were going to stay in that campsite for 14 days. That was how long the reservation was. You can see on a little tag on their on the campsite thingy, campsite post. 14 days, and one can only assume that during those 14 days they would be blasting away with their generator. So that was not fun. And what was even less fun, after the second day we were there, or after the first day it was starting, they decided to move closer. I don't know why they moved closer, what their motives were, but they did it. They moved from a long ways away, which was still extremely loud, to rather close indeed. Maybe about, I don't know, a few hundred feet away. And that was just incredibly obnoxious. And I was frankly amazed that sort of concept is legal, let alone legal in a campsite. But apparently it is, and that was our first campsite. Luckily, it wasn't like we were completely ruined by that. Our camping trip there was still fun, because most of the time spent was not in the campsite. We were sort of using the campsite as a base to see things. Saw some sea lions, some sea caves. It was pretty nice, some pretty nice things. And we didn't have to deal with that atrocious noise for more than just a couple hours on either end of the day, because we were gone for most of the rest of it. So it was not as bad as it could have been. But I can only imagine the horror of the people who were in that campsite to go walking around the campsite, and who spent more time in there than we did, because I imagine not everyone was camping, was wandering around quite as much as we were, because we did do a lot of that, and it would not be it would not be any fun at all to spend time in that place with the generator going. In a different campsite, of course, we were next to a different generator. This one an actual generator instead of an RV engine, and so we witnessed the much quieterness of it. The fact that generator was a real outlier in noise, and the other one didn't bother us because it was used respectfully, and it was also not horrible, so that was fine. But it was just some context for the massive, horrifying, blaring noise of that monster. Yeah, I am a little bit miffed at that. I don't know why those people well, I don't know. Maybe I'm sure they had their reasons, but it seems awfully inconsiderate is all I was saying. Now, there were a lot of fun things on this trip, and that was not the biggest takeaway from the trip, of course. I just thought that was funny. Let's see. A different funny thing. What else happened? Oh yeah, closer to the end of the trip, actually on the drive back, we decided to stop by a rock shop, and we went looking in there. We were driving down a highway just because we needed to get home for reasons which should be fairly obvious, and we saw this rocks and minerals shop on the side of the road, and we sort of expected that it would be nice, but not too fancy, because it was just out in the middle of nowhere, really, on the side of a highway somewhere. And so we went in, had a look around, and it was actually incredibly impressive, the wares they had there. We ended up getting some nice little things, nothing too expensive, but all of it pretty. And we hold on, I took my glasses off. This stuff. It's so hard to tell between the blocks anyway, and when you take your glasses off, it's just it's white, it's yellow, whatever. Who knows what block that is? Anyway, okay, so we went in there, and they had some really nice things, got a couple bits and pieces, and they actually had a museum sort of thing showcasing a bunch of exceptionally nice pieces, and there were many exceptionally nice pieces. And I was just really extraordinarily surprised that a shop just on the side of the road would have such nice things, and that was a lot of fun. Hold on, I'm thinking. Building. One moment. So there were many nice things. Hold on. Okay, that's both sandstone. Where's the smooth sandstone? Thank you. I'll take that. Okay, so yeah, there were lots of nice things. Some of the really good stuff was amethyst. There was some really nice amethyst in there. There was a gigantic orb of obsidian and an equally gigantic orb of rose obsidian in one of the corners of the place, and that was for sale for a mere $7,500 each. So we didn't get those, shocker. But there were other nice things on a slightly smaller, more affordable scale, and I got a really nice little bird sort of thing, which is actually sitting on my desk right now, tapping his head. Well, okay, tapping his base. I don't know if you can actually hear that, but it's a nice little bird. He's not made of stones that are too fancy or expensive, and so he was not an expensive item, but it looks really nice. So that's one of the things I got. There were also a lot of nice little okay. lots of nice little other rocks, and we got some non-shaped merchandise, as in something that just nice rocks as opposed to sculptures made from nice rocks, and that's nice. And let's see, there was actually an elephant bird egg in the museum, and that was pretty impressive. I've never actually seen one of those in person before up until this point, so I was very pleased to see that. Very nice. Those, if you didn't know already, are extinct at this point, but they lived in Madagascar. They were gigantic sort of birds that you could, I guess, compare with an emu or an ostrich. They were that sort of shape of bird, sort of style of bird, I guess. Anyway, they wandered around on two legs. I guess most birds do that, and they were just massive. In other words, well, in new words, didn't say that before. They were. I think either they were the biggest birds that ever lived, or they were close second or something. Close. They were big. I don't know if the elephant birds and the moas are the same thing. I'm feeling rather ignorant on that as a result, but they I don't think they are. I think maybe moas are bigger. But anyway, the elephant bird, giant egg, cool. So that was the rock shop, and I'm sure I'm glossing over details in my brain that were also cool about the rock shop. But seeing as they've been glossed already, I'm going to continue glossing, and let's talk about something else. So there was also another thing on the drive back home, a sort of Mexican food shop, and that was really nice. Got a burrito. The burrito was gigantic. So I've still got a bit of it, and I'll be eating that tomorrow for lunch. It was an excellent burrito, but just so stuffed. Too much of it. Well, I mean, I guess not too much. Don't blocks. Too much of it for me to eat in one sitting, but it was definitely very, very tasty. Give me that. Okay. And that was nice. The people in there spoke both Spanish and English, which was also fun to see, fun to listen to, because I'm learning Spanish, trying to practice that, and overhearing little snippets of Spanish as the cashiers talked to customers as they walked around, or as new people filed in while we were eating. That was fun. And very tasty food. Let's see. Other than that, nothing pops out of my brain right now, so I'll take another cut and think of something interesting. Well, earlier I talked about the sea lion caves, and those were certainly quite interesting. Good to see the sea lions. How do I do this? I think it's actually a 3x3. Yeah. Anyway. Good to see the sea lions. They were nice. We did actually see them from quite far away. Private eye. Anyway. GG. So yeah, sea lions. But there was also an elevator down to the down to a sea cave. The end. Down to a sea cave, and in there were actually a couple more sea lions, which you could see much more closely. And in fact, they were playing on a rock, which was also kind of fun. There was sort of a cave, rock in the center, how do I do this? rock in the center, and water around the rock, and the water was coming from the ocean naturally. And hold on, they're distracting me. I need to stop looking at the chat. And that was fun to watch. They would they would sort of wait for a swell in the seawater before being able to get up onto the rock, which was kind of funny. They'd sort of try and then slide down, and then when a big enough bunch of water came up, it would push them far enough up that they would be able to get out, or get out of the water onto the rock, and that was funny. There was also a big elevator. I guess I said this, but there was a big elevator, and it was actually, I think, 280 or 218, something around there, feet. So it was a very big elevator, and one couldn't help but wonder what would happen if the elevator got stuck. And I'm sure it would be fine, but I would rather not experience it. So good thing didn't have to. I'm sure that's the experience of most people who go to that viewing area. There was also a nice lookout onto the ocean from the inside of the cave, sort of. The cave formed along two fault lines, one going north-south, the other going east-west, and in the center, a sort of cavity was worn away by the ocean, and there is the cave. And so there was a little walkway along one of the fault lines. The other one was a really cool tunnel that you could see. But there was a neat walkway, and you could sort of look out from the side of the cliff over the ocean, and there was a couple more sea lions on a cliff incredibly high up, actually. I mean, not like way up there or anything, but just there-ish instead of there-ish. And the sea lions are not known for their expert climbing abilities, so that was kind of surprising. I think I have a hunch that they were sitting there ever since the high tide earlier. So maybe sea lions are not incredibly athletic either. Incredibly active. They lead a slightly slightly Whoa, what? Oh yeah. Iondis is or should I say Londis is working on the Ender, and she's actually finished it. Anyway, where was I? Sea lions. Right, they live a slightly sedentary lifestyle, so they didn't move from the rock for the whole day. There was also another sea lion in the cave that didn't leave. It's sort of I'm guessing, but I'm guessing it went up a sort of cliff area at high tide and never got out. That was in the sea cave. I think actually one of the sea lions died that way, because there was also a sea lion skeleton on show, and I think that one probably ended up going up during a really high tide and then just got stuck and never was able to come down. Maybe it just died up there. I don't think people know that, but that would just be my guess. Because it's funnier. Yep. And let's see. I think that's most of the sea lion cave. There were also a bunch of pigeon guillemots, which are a type of bird apparently not incredibly common, but we saw a bunch of them everywhere. I think they're migratory, so not necessarily going to see them if you go, but if you go during the summer, you probably will. That's my understanding of it, at least. There was a really cool. Okay, actually, no. I need to stop talking. The episode at this point is quite long, I think. I mean, certainly very long, considering my normal standards. But it's sort of a talky, low progress episode anyway, so I'm not too fussed about that. However, hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Let me know if you want me to do another chatty camping trip expedition episode in the future, because this was kind of fun. But I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.